Well, to climate change now, as wildfires burn across Europe, the question of how the continent adapts to the impact of a warming temperature and how much it will cost is coming into focus. Well, one politician who knows all about this challenge is the mayor of Freetown in Sierra Leone, where devastating mudslides killed more than 1,000 people in 2017. Well, since then, Yvonne Akisoya has implemented many schemes, including tree planting in response. And she's been speaking to my colleague, Luquessa Burak, for this week's Talking Business.
We're sitting in London today, and it's a coolish day. But I was here in June, and you had temperatures of 40 degrees. Now, I bring that point up because it's important for us to no longer even attempt to see this as a faraway problem. I can tell you what we're experiencing, but I think what's really important for viewers to hear is that this is no longer an isolated crisis. From Europe here, fires raging in Spain, in France. So this is a global crisis, but it needs global and local solutions.
Well, so how is our changing climate impacting how we travel? Well, I got the view from Dr. Suzanne Etty from Intrepid Travel.
No, we're definitely seeing changes happening because those wildfires or flood events or heat waves that we have seen are really having an impact on our trips, but also really changing the way people do their holidays. So we have seen really a move away from Southern Europe in the peak season, but also really kind of seeing more customers selecting to travel during the shoulder season, so say May or September. And so that's actually around a 17% increase. But we're also seeing destinations like cooler destination like Northern Europe, but also Iceland, really increasing interest for customers to travel to those regions.
And so what do local travel businesses do? Because whole economies, particularly in Spain, for example, which is very reliant on tourism, are set up around this summer holiday season.
Yeah, no, so it's definitely, we have to recognize that climate change is no longer a future business risk because it's actually an operational reality. So it's really important for businesses to, first of all, to reduce its impact, but also build that resistance. And then it's about helping people, including our suppliers and customers, navigating this changing world in a safe and responsible way.
And is there an opportunity, as you say, Northern Europe now seems quite appealing for some tourists because of the cooler temperatures? Are we going to see a situation where the Mediterranean is going to be actually sort of north of the Mediterranean somewhere in the Scandinavian countries where temperatures are cooler and perhaps that's where tourists want to kind of spend their summer holidays?
I think what we see from our data is that customers are already traveling to cooler destinations, but the most important place is always that travelers need to stay informed. Safety comes first and kind of really to decide where's the best location for them at the time of booking.
And Suzanne, like, were people thinking about travelling over the summer? Clearly, we've had wildfires in France and Spain this week. Should they be thinking about this before booking their travel in terms of insurance? What kind of financial guarantees? Because lots of people have had to cancel holidays as a result.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point that you're raising here. So it's definitely always important to take out your travel insurance. We're definitely expecting also that the cost of those are likely to go up just because we're seeing more and more incidents happening. But most important, I think for me, it always comes down to 3 points: is to stay informed, to check what's happening on the ground, but also be flexible if you're traveling to these areas during the summer, and kind of really assess on a daily basis, and most importantly, prioritize your health and safety, like to really take care if it's a hot day, for example.
Well, staying with travel in Europe, some beach holiday makers may be in for an unexpected expense when they head to the seaside. The price of renting a sun lounger, sometimes a necessity to get access to water in places like Italy, can vary dramatically depending on where you stay. And in some places, the price of renting a bit of beach comfort and some much needed shade can be more expensive than a flight. Well, David Shizra is founder of the Hotel and Higher Season, and I put it to him that some of these prices are rather shocking.
Yeah, definitely. There are some areas in Europe, especially like around like Mykonos, Saint-Tropez, and Forte dei Marmi, where it's like getting really expensive. I think some of the most like largest numbers I've heard is like that Namos in Mykonos is charging more than 3,000 euros during peak season for then a really large tent, right? With a like multiple sunbeds and even there a private jacuzzi. And direct beach access, but also like in Forte dei Marmi, like in the better beach towns, you maybe pay 400 euros for 2 beach beds and an umbrella, and then you still have to count that there's going to be an additional food and beverage spend that you have to spend, right? So it can be an additional 400 or 500 euros as well. So that's mandatory.
So, given that we've just been hearing about how climate change is impacting those sort of traditional holiday destinations, do you think that these sort of hotels are going to have to rethink their pricing policy to try and attract tourists?
I mean, at this moment, not that much, no. I mean, I think these are like very popular places. The demand for both sunbeds, but also even just for hotel stays is just very, very high at this moment. That has been growing this year, for example, in Mykonos versus last year. So I don't think that there's going to be like a very big change in pricing necessarily at this moment. However, as already somebody else mentioned, is like it might become that people are going to be booking earlier into the season. And some of these destinations, they open up very late, right? And maybe only in June or July. And they might be shifting and be opening up early, maybe already in May, April, even before, in order to already make sure that tourists get their sunbed.
And can this actually be implemented with ease? Because I'm sure a lot of people watching have had some sort of dispute on the beach over a sunbed lounger at some point. It's quite a territorial activity, securing a sun lounge on holiday.
I mean, yeah, it depends obviously if it's going to be like a resort-based one or if it's more like in Italian, like it's a beach like club, for example. I mean, definitely, I think we've all seen the scenes in Turkey where some of these people are already like taking a sunbed before the actual like the day, like during the night, they're staying on there to make sure they're sitting at the pool. That's maybe one extreme version. But I think what's also different very much, for example, in Italy, is that like the whole beach club is very much like a societal like connection as well.
And don't forget, you can get the latest business and economics news, not only on Business Today, but throughout the day online. Just follow the business section of the BBC News website or app. And I'll have